Do you have gender specific bathrooms in your home, or does everyone use every bathroom? You know what I mean? Like I grew up in that a situation. There'll be 30 people at a family reunion. There's one bathroom.
Yeah.
Or a porta potty on a job site. There's 30 people,
Yeah.
all different sex. Not really an issue, you know. But in high school, we had. You might have actually experienced this. I'm not sure. But in high school, we had this dude who would pour water on the floors and then would masturbate to the reflection of other dudes peeing from the water fuck? And he got caught and he got fucked up. I'm talking about wrecked. And to me, that's the natural process.
Yeah.
I feel like we should have some sort of good Samaritan law protecting someone who steps into a situation like that and protects people that could possibly be victimized.
Well, I think also, this is not a popular opinion, but I'm not necessarily a popular man. I think there should be public execution.
Oh, I agree entirely.
I think that.
I'm from a George Carlin type of standpoint on that. Do it in the middle of the street.
Yeah, exactly.
Publicize it. Put it live on Facebook.
See these folks here? They raped and murdered kids. This is what we do to these type of people around here.
Kill them dead.
Yeah.
Those nasty motherfuckers deserve to die.
But
I agree.
That's what sucks about it is that there are people in jail right now for doing the very thing that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Someone witnessing something like that happen, or even just hearing something about that happen. Hey, you know that this dude's talking to your 13-year-old sister? What the fuck? And he beats the shit out of this dude. Now he's in jail for assault and battery.
Yeah.
Because there's no actual evidence, no basis of it or whatsoever.
Meanwhile, the pedo is still out.
Exactly. Meanwhile, he's texting his fucking sister. You know what I mean? That's crazy to me. But there's no laws protecting people. We'll say vigilantes in that nature.
What's the?
What about a business? Let's start a business. You down? You see where I'm going with this? Let's start a business where you just fucking give us a little discreet, anonymous text message like Twitter.
I think you have to go on the dark web to do stuff like that.
It's possible.
They pay in Bitcoin. not that I know how that works.
We'll diddle the diddlers. You know what I'm saying?
Did you guys see that? It's a couple years old now, but it was an article about this one guy who he's an inmate now, but he was going around to paroled pedophiles' houses and murdering them with hammers.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, right?
That's the best thing I've ever heard in my entire life.
He's locked up now.
Yeah,
but,
I believe it. Yeah, that sucks.
But he took a couple of them to hell with him.
They're trying to make some like free that guy shirts or whatever.
Be down with that.
So we can support the cause. There's some dude I read about online the other day who called. It was in Texas, so he got out obviously. He got home and I'm trying to remember the exact story. I'm probably way off, but basically he was looking for his daughter. He couldn't find his daughter. They said that she had went into a shed. Her friend said she went into the shed back there with some man. So he runs back there and finds a dude completely naked, and his daughter like half naked, already had her underwear off and everything. He beat the guy to death, and then he was praised as a hero in his community. But it was just that area, you know what I mean? Like if that happened elsewhere, he'd still be in jail for murder.
Yeah.
And that is insane to me.
Yeah.
That we require years of court and fighting the system just to protect your family from somebody like that.
It's weird how like red states, or even red counties, communities or whatever, which are normally like more like fire and brimstone kind of places. But when it comes to like a dead pedophile, everybody's like, all right, good.
Exactly.
Versus a blue county or blue state, normally they're just like, hey, we got some problems with our incarceration system. We need to let some people go.
Mm-hmm.
But then it'll come to like a sexual deviant. They'll be like, well, we don't want to like exclude anybody. We want to be inclusive. It's like, I'm sorry, but I have some moral scruples, and drawing the line on pedophiles, I got no problem drawing a fucking line and saying no.
I agree.
For anybody who's listening, you can look up on YouTube Donald Trump on Oprah. And it's like 1988, and she's asking him, now she's like, he's abhorrent, and, that's her, everyone wants Oprah to run against Donald Trump. She would lose, okay? Because all he would have to do is point out this YouTube video clip, Oprah, Donald Trump, 1988, and he's talking about, she's like, people, want you to run for president, basically, I'm not ad-libbing, I'm paraphrasing, yes, thank you. And he says, well, I don't think I would, but I certainly wouldn't go in to lose. And he's like, if you look at China, they come in here and they dump their VCR, or no, Japan, but he's talking about basically the rest of the world. Japan, they come here, they dump their cars, their VCRs, and they don't buy anything from us. We're buying all their stuff, we're getting killed on trade. He is more consistent on that China and the trade war than any politics. He's more consistent with his views and about what he wants to do than maybe only Bernie Sanders is as consistent about his views, and Bernie's a communist.
Yeah. Well,
you know?
but they're both populists though.
Yeah.
That's whenever they started off in 2016, those were the two guys I was like, they're going to bring change to America.
Yes.
Because they were waking people the fuck up to be like,
Yes.
hey, our quote unquote parties that we're under are flawed.
Bernie's integrity, you know what I mean, is certainly there. That's why people are impressed with him, and they're the Bernie bros, or the people that support Bernie Sanders. But they don't understand the history of socialism. It has never worked, from Mao's China to Russia to Venezuela now. I mean, every time socialist policies are implemented, it leads to poverty and death and chaos.
Yeah. Well, the argument of like the Scandinavian countries, a lot of times people rely on that. Here's the kicker about those is they did go to they gave the means of production and things of this to the government in the 70s and 80s, and it in Scandinavia, it wrecked their economy in these countries.
Yeah.
Because why would you trust the government to take control of this kind of stuff?
Yeah. Look.
But they turned around, and what they do now is they privatized everything. Mm-hmm. So they democratically chose the social programs for their tax money to go to, which is the argument that I think people on the left should be making, rather than we need to start taxing. No, government's already getting a lot of our money. Yeah. We need to take a look.
It's so corrupt. If as much money as they make from people paying fines for drug offenses and stuff like that, why don't they put that money toward free rehab for anybody who wants to go get drug free? Or why don't they legalize it and use that for social policies? It's all a fucking sham.
You really get used to it, And it's funny, people want to be themselves and be proud of what they are, but then when they see somebody else doing it, it's like they get so angry about it, and I don't get it.
And I mean, it is kind of difficult sometimes. I'm not gonna lie. I have trouble like going on Facebook and people like showing their pictures of their deers that they just shot and killed for no reason. It's like sometimes I do want to be a bitch about it, and I kind of want to call them out. But then I think about it, and I'm like, well, what is that gonna show them about veganism? Nothing. Like, that's not veganism. That's not me spreading compassion. That would be me doing the opposite. So like, step back. It's okay. I mean, it sucks and I hate it, but there's nothing I'm gonna do to change their mind if I attack them too. So like,
well, I don't think you want everybody in the world to be of the same ideological principle, because I think in that manner that means you have one puppet master sort of controlling everything. Mm-hmm. I mean, I know that's a broad brushstroke to make, but in essence, that's what you would have, right? So the fact that like America has kind of set the pace like for the world to advance since like we became a country. We haven't been a country that long, but still we've gotten to this point to where all of these, like, we're all bastards of culture, right? Like, so like it's been interesting in the past couple of years, especially with the news just pushing stuff to just trigger you. That's their whole goal, is like, you don't need a discussion, be angry. Mm-hmm. Meanwhile, if you look at the history of media, before that, during Bush Obama terrorists everywhere years, all it was just like, don't worry about it, but be afraid of like these diseases. Yeah. It's like this disease panic. It happens every election cycle. Mm-hmm. If you go back, there's compilations you can see in the news of them pushing it out. 2000, 2004, 2006, 2008, like clockwork. Yeah. And I think it's part of it as well, like I was saying, like the media's job to just trigger you into emotional reaction rather than taking a step back and thinking about something judiciously.
But I think that's why things are getting to the point with like mass shootings happening every day pretty much, and people becoming just more and more violent. It's because that is what we're doing. We're all walking around and our emotions are just so heightened. Like, I mean, and that's when you can become angry easily. I mean, it all makes sense. Mm-hmm. Plus, not to mention climate change, everything getting crazy with the weather, that makes your aggression like levels go up. I mean, it's just, I don't know.
Well, especially
it's all, like, playing
when it's
hand in hand.
when it's repeated certain things, like mass shootings, mass murders, like they have been happening in America since like day
Right.
one. You look at outlaws, you look at problems that have been going on in the hood. They don't report on those because it doesn't fit this narrative of trying to get you emotionally reaction
Right.
from yourself. I think it's the same thing with like climate change. When you start looking, granted, since I'm into conspiracies, I tend to get a little obsessive with looking. But once you actually start listening to like, well, what are people that disagree? What are they talking about? Rather than just, well, they're climate change deniers. You shouldn't listen to them. That kind of sounds like a church telling me I shouldn't listen to something that maybe, I don't know, points to Hinduism having some truth to it as well. You know what I mean? It's somebody, I feel they're trying to corner us ideologically as well. And like you said, where like all this stuff, it's almost designed to make you angry, right? I think in that state, you're also more easily manipulated by malevolence.
Oh, I've talked to people that played VR games. Like there's one, and it's like cartoonish and fun, but it's like you're in a coliseum and you're like hacking and slashing up all these big gronky like gladiators are coming at you. And some guy was talking in an interview about how he played it for like, he spent like 6 hours playing it, and like it was fun, it was enjoyable, but it gave him a very like disassociated feeling with like killing people. Like he didn't feel like as like he said it like triggered something in him that he was like, okay, man, this is weird. Like I'm feeling way too comfortable in this killing motion.
Right.
But I think that's animal instinct. Like we want to be past that, but even like the most civilized person probably wants to fucking bash someone's head in with a vase someday.
I mean, it's in all of us, But so, I could see that because I think it's serotonin that like when it's like abnormally high, like like you just had 400 orgasms at the same time, like you want to do harm to others, like, and it's weird for me to even like wrap my head around that like this I guess chemical that's like in us that's released from like having an orgasm, or like was it dark chocolate will also release some like serotonin in your brain, but that if it's too much of it, like that you can get dissociated, and then like you don't care about anything. That's arguably some of the mass shooters that were on like certain types of drugs or SSRIs, like that they just took so much to where they didn't care.
I think a lot of it comes to the point where they feel so disassociated with things that's like, maybe if I shoot a bunch of people, I'll feel something.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes a lot of the case that's it. I don't think it's like, like what happened, I guess, recently was it Michigan at the Coors plant? Like that dude was just mad.
He got fired.
He got fired, came back, snapped. But it's like, that's a big commentary on the state of things in like our country. It's like, I mean, I've experienced it just being out in like Utah with some of the hardships and stuff I've gone through. But it's like, I mean, most people are like 2 or 3 missed checks away from like not having a place to live and losing everything they have.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I can get that because that guy's probably in that boat and he's like, I'm gonna be homeless or whatever. So like, could have been, it's like society has us all put into such a corner, and kind of like with that 90s nostalgia is because things aren't as good, but we got so used to like, so when we grew up, like back in the day, people had to like, they kind of had to wait for things. You had to wait for stuff to come in the mail. You got like a Sears catalog in the mail, and you'd call and you'd place an order,
right?
Or and
Columbia House Records.
Yeah, and there wasn't, like you had to wait for the Scholastic Books Fair to come to school, and there are all these things that like they took time, it took patience. But as things changed and emerged, it's like we had fast food restaurants and stuff, but they weren't to the point they are now. It's like you get a burger, you get a taco, whatever.
Yeah.
Now you go to Taco Bell, and it's like, do you want the fucking taco, the burrito, the double Guadalajara Chibuco crunch, like whatever, you have like so many options and everything's available. If you don't want to eat from the shit from Taco Bell, it's like you can go across the street from Wendy's and get a hamburger, or oh fuck it, you want a baked potato, or you just want all this shit. So we're so used to like that's why I call it like fast food culture, because like it's instant gratification, it's endless options, and you don't have to wait or work for any of it, because it's like someone else does it and it's like, oh, here you go, cool, it's instant. And I think that it's permeated into our culture with our way of thinking. That's why nobody looks at anything objectively and takes the time to like critically analyze it and think of things. It affects our relationships because nobody's fucking happy with what they have. It's like, I don't want to fucking a double bacon cheeseburger is delicious and you can love it every day, but some days you want to fucking...
The problem with the burger is it never kisses me back.
Yeah, I know. But sometimes you want the cheesy fucking bacon burrito.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what do you do if you committed to your fucking hamburger? You're going to cheat on it with the fucking burrito. And then your fucking hamburger's going to be sad, but you're going to fuck it up. You're going to be like, man, I wish I still had my hamburger.
When you're saying like enabling and family members and such, my 600-pound life, pretty much the person that is suffering from the morbid obesity has an enabler. Yeah. And it's either like their mom or their dad, brother, whatever, or like boyfriend, wife, whatever, like whoever the fuck it is enabling them.
Yeah, there was one where it was a guy who literally had a fat fetish, and he wanted to keep pumping her up and pumping her up. He's like washing her down with a hose so she can like wipe her ass crack. That's
I feel like,
and it's not body shaming by any means. Yeah. You know what I mean? But because I'm a fat dude. It's cool. I'm fucking gorgeous. that has nothing to do with my confidence in myself or anything. But what it does have to do is like, yo, you need to take care of yourself, man. Right. And like I see people like that, and like I saw like how big I was like a year ago, let alone like 4 years ago, and like that, and not to put blame on anybody else that like oh somebody should have told me. No, fuck that, it's my responsibility. But these folks that are like living with them like day to day, every day, and like not doing anything to help them out, like to me like that's almost torturous for those people. Yeah. In particular, the 600-pound life examples, where it's like a spouse or a family member that's more or less using them for their wishes, whatever they may be.
Yeah. It's crazy. I just know that if I ever get to that point where I'm like 500, 600 pounds and I got to go out in the backyard and wash myself in a kiddie pool or something, something's going to change. We still know each other, say like 30 years from now, and I come across you in a fucking kiddie pool weighing 600 pounds, asking me to help you. I'd be like, Coulter!
I'd be like, Drew,
stop being so damn much!
You and I need to have a talk. And we're gonna go through some tough realities together. Speaking of body shaming and all that. So I saw you became an intolerant piece of shit this past week. As somebody else who is an intolerant piece of shit artist, let me just say, welcome to the club, and fuck them.
Feels great.
Fuck them.
Feels great.
I have not noticed, I'm not speaking for you, putting words in your mouth. This is just me, my opinion. Controversial as I may be, I don't give a shit. I haven't seen one goddamn thing in your art that says that you're subjecting anybody to anything they don't want to do, nor are you being disrespectful, intolerant, or anything. Art is about the aesthetics of your mind. It's your ego and your narcissism dealing with it and manifesting reality to create something beautiful rather than take it out on other people. Right. And for somebody to go on social media, of all things, and try, I don't know who this person is, so I don't have a problem with them. It's just the logic that I saw where it's almost some SJW bullshit where it's trying to drag like identity politics into fucking art. Get fucked, dude. Right. Your art kicks ass, man.
I'll just like I said earlier, I'll just glaze over the whole story, I guess. So I had known this girl. I was friends with her. Whatever. I'm not going to say any names or nothing. But
no, she doesn't. She doesn't deserve to be recognized for what she is.
Right.
Fuck that. It's like school shooters. Why are you advertising their fucking name?
Yeah.
Fuck them.
Well, I don't know if this is on the same level as a school shooter.
Well, that might have been me being a little too hyperbolic and stepping over the line.
Yeah, no, I
definitely a big difference.
But she was saying that I told her that I thought she was too ugly or too fat to model for me, which I would never say to anyone because, for one, the whole thing about me wanting to take pictures of people, which is, the primary subject that I work with pretty much all the time.
I haven't seen much nature photography.
Right. That's what I'm saying. So I don't like to offend someone or come across as like just so full of myself or anything like that. But yeah, I would never tell anyone that they're too ugly or too fat to model for me. In fact, I've contacted quite a few like plus size women asking them to model for me and stuff. And it always seems that either one, they don't like the idea of it, like they don't want to model, or they don't like what my pictures look like or something like that, or they're not comfortable with themselves. So it's usually not me being a fucking dick about it, it's the other person, and it's completely fine. I'm not expecting them to want to model for me, you know what I'm saying?
Oh no, your artwork should polarize people, as should the artist, right?
And see,
so if you make enemies out of what you make, man, in my opinion, that just means that your art is successful.
I can see that, I guess. I don't know. I don't like really offending people, but I know that people do get offended sometimes.
Right.
Okay, but the whole story is, so I never would have said that to anyone. So when I saw that tweet, it was kind of just like, I know this happened in fucking April, and it's now, and I'm just now seeing it, but it's something that I never said. So if you are able to like tweet something about me, unnamed or not, like, am I not able to tweet the truth about it? Like, I never would have said that. So I don't know. I'm not proud that I put that thing on Instagram and everything, but at the same time, I'm not ashamed to speak up for myself.